Ashtar, confront your negative self-image channel, Arthura Hector vertical bar Ashtar-Rose. You are now entering the energy of the full moon, and it evokes situations in which a deep transformation process is present. It is good to know that this shadow part allows the emotions to emerge from a hidden layer. This wave opens a new layer. Confrontation individual and political. The full moon of April 24, 2024, opens the gate of self-reflection in the lower self-image, the shadow image, that is anchored with the many masks of illusion arise. This is a profound purification of self-awareness. Both individually and in group processes, work is being done on the economic level to transform a new political consciousness. Wave transformation process. This wave causes a deep transformation process in which people turn themselves inside out, but special challenging situations also arise in other areas such as economics and politics. This can cause a lot of pain and sadness. Your negative self-image is tackled and triggered so that all of this can be set down in a new reset. When you find yourself in the middle of a very deep process, you suddenly discover an opening that leads to real reality, a reality that you have lost. This includes the illusion about the negative self-image. The shadow part arose because you could not be yourself. The real self was pushed aside and was hidden and left in a dark cellar of the void. In this void you manifested the masks of illusion from pain and frustration. Programming. Masks of illusion. The young child's freedom and imagination were compromised, causing an internal dilemma. Many masks were formed, usually out of survival in order to be accepted. You were put into a program of oppression at a young age, and your defenses were tackled. The rebel became the unruly child, who did little at school. The ones who kept themselves very sweet and quiet ended up in a major adjustment, and later became very stuck. Notice the invisible one. She didn't want to be seen and disappeared into the crowd. Where are they? The need of every child and every person is to receive love and recognition. Many masks were created because you were not understood as a child, and also because you often reacted differently in situations that arose. This was the starlight that opened up, but unfortunately this was not accepted, and a negative self-image emerged, often hidden behind a mask. The mask expressed a certain feeling that should not be there. Masks in the silence of rejection. Many other masks were formed. The mask of concealment of the truth created a blockage in the young consciousness. The more often the mask was presented, the greater and firmer this belief became. The outside world affected your mind, and you had to bow down. Belief in the illusion and negative self-image arose, and eventually you forgot who you were. Some rebels rise, but carry a great burden on their shoulders. They are not loved, rather caught in a lonely struggle. The silence. Silent consciousness is therefore so confrontational for everyone, too painful, too difficult to go there and open the true inner voice. The sadness that is then released is sometimes too great to bear. Going crazy from sadness can then occur temporarily. The mask, silence, and the mask, invisibility, were also chosen. The older you got, the bigger the mask of silence became. This did not just happen naturally. Behind it was a deep sadness. This is the sorrow of the hidden truth, hidden far away, and suddenly left along with childhood, when the adult consciousness took its place. Waves of denial. These waves of denial and disempowerment of the true self have been created in the child through many steps, each step containing a deep sadness, in which the negative self-image grew. The physical body reacted from a cramp, and many were imprisoned. The forgotten starlight was hidden in a moralistic fairy tale. Like a game to touch you in the heart again. Wake up. The digital mask. The digital mask is still new, and many do not know that a split in consciousness is made when a digital avatar is created. Especially for those who do not feel at home on Earth, in today's civilization this child lacks natural attention. The younger the child becomes entangled in the digital mask, the more he or she will develop in it. An artificial connection is created with the self. It becomes a double reality in the illusion, which is very confusing. especially if the educators do not explain this and do not provide natural things. Many children, an entire generation, will experience confusion, especially if there is a lot of stress in their environment. No room for feelings and how to deal with them. The digital mask can be used in the physical world, and this can expand further, so far that they flee into it. Now find true consciousness again. First it must be disconnected from the digital world. They cannot simply disconnect this part. This mask is so fun, and many social contacts are also connected to it. Part of their lives takes place digitally and is connected to emotions and the anchoring of the digital avatar. It is a psychological connection that comes to life. Are you going to kill them then? Mourning process. This disconnection results in a deep grieving process and should be treated with great care. The steps that may be taken will always be coordinated in consultation with the child. The underlying sadness is underlying desires and needs that could not be fulfilled in the physical world, and have therefore now emerged in a digital form. If this is not handled properly, new trauma may arise. Getting rid of this digital world will then fail. It is more than pulling the plug from the socket. Older man. The older person in today's society is under great oppression. Being old means silently accepting everything that is expected. Wasn't it true that as a child, or as a young person, you wanted to fight for your freedom and ideals? Now it is your own children who are working against this. How traumatic is this repetition? You once fought for your individuality, and now it is being suppressed again. Many develop complaints and deteriorate. Alienation. The older ones have a lot of life experience and wisdom, which should be embraced and respected. For parents and children with trauma, there is care that turns the tables. The care provider now becomes the wise parent with their own programming from a book. Very straightforward and limited. Light children are now being programmed again, and they are not understood. They can become very confused by this and become even more outside of themselves. The highly sensitive and gifted child in particular often falls victim to this. Independence training can have a very negative effect if it is imposed from outside. This must arise from the energy of the parent and the child. It is a kind of second birth. The child is separated from the parents and goes out into the wide world. Has he developed the right luggage to survive in this wilderness? Then the release will go smoothly. When they became estranged from their parents, they lost the thread. Why did they end up here? Earth parents and family lines play a crucial role in the discovery of the true Earth self. The knowledge of the ancestors should be passed on orally so that every person on Earth recognizes the family line. There are many glitches and myths laid upon this information. There is a reason for this, because the more ignorance, the more miscommunication, the more misunderstanding. The more distance that arises, the more alienation that takes place. Estrangement is when the emotional love line is severed by rejection. Light children and light people need these love connections. Negative self-image and the shadow mask. Many family ties are disrupted, and many become estranged. A healthy, loving family bond can have a very healing effect, and form a strong foundation on which one can fall back in life. Even when one is an adult, you need each other on Earth until death, and beyond. Ancestors. Farewell to humanity has again become disturbed in this area, and the image of death has been affected. Transitioning to another light body is not mentioned here either. Contact with the ancestors is something that is not accepted. Light. The shadow opens in everything, and this moon will bring back the memory of where you really come from, earthly, or from the light. Many family lines are being cleaned up and restored on Earth, or in another energetic layer. The sting of this moon in Scorpio can be poisonous, and you travel through a completely different layer than you are used to, with an unreal feeling. The recovery may be intense, but it will be accomplished. The medicine will be given to you from the light of the ancestors. Deep inside, the inner voice of the intact child speaks. She knows where the right medicine is hidden. The Arcturian group, assisting in the Ascension channel, Marilynn, Raffaele, Vertical Bar, Onenessofall. Dear readers, welcome to our message, which is intended to teach and empower. You are not on earth by accident, but rather are of the many brave and awakened souls who volunteered to assist Earth in her ascension process toward alignment with her true spiritual expression. You knew that in order to do this you would have to enter into three-dimensional density, live and work from a dense material body, and be subject to the creations of a collective consciousness based in duality and separation. Negative three-dimensional experiences for the spiritually evolved are not usually as random as they are for those who are not, and live fully from a three-dimensional state of consciousness, unless the experiences are chosen as learning experiences. This is because an evolved consciousness does not hold as many false beliefs to manifest. However, at this time the high resonating energies flowing to Earth as part of her ascension process are exposing and activating remaining low resonating energy for all individuals. You may have noticed that life has become a bit more chaotic and out of sync recently, things breaking down, plans going astray, appliances no longer working, internet going down, problems with this or that, etc. Your once smoothly running routine seems to no longer be running smoothly. The increasing presence of intense light energies are forcing all that resonates on lower levels to surface and manifest as part of the clearing process. No one can revert from their attained state of consciousness, so do not think that somehow you have spiritually regressed if things seem to be more chaotic. Most people are not even aware that the energy of many simple beliefs held in consciousness can manifest because in the past lower resonating energies they usually did not. Ordinary sayings like, if it isn't one thing it is another. When it rains it pours. This always happens to me. These common and seemingly harmless sayings about life are impersonal, but have been accepted into the belief system of many. Because the energy on Earth is increasingly becoming more refined, and because there is no unexpressed consciousness, even these simply common sayings will manifest just as major beliefs do. Do not fear this, or give them power, if you find yourself automatically thinking them now and then, but rather use the experience to be more aware, remembering that consciousness is the substance of form. Many spend their whole life seeking happiness from where it does not exist, and will never be found in concepts of happiness as being something that must be attained in the outer world. Because this world is the only world they know, they search for happiness in all the ways it tells them are necessary for fulfillment, even if or when some of these ways do not reflect their heart and intuition. These people live exhausting lives in a race to find and attain the right partner, school, physical appearance, employment, fame, house, friends, lots of stuff, and money, in the belief that once attained these things will bring them to happiness. More often than not, even when these things have been attained, the deep inner longing that every soul has to reunite with Source remains and will remain as their search continues, during which they may blame people, circumstances, and even God for their unhappiness. Most suicides result from concepts of happiness not materializing, or from the guilt of decisions made and actions taken. Because they do not know who they really are, these dear ones judge themselves by material standards, believing that they are unworthy failures. In reality, the very experiences that have brought them to that point are very often the experiences they themselves put into their pre-birth contract in order to evolve to new levels of awareness. However, because death is really an illusion, they will come back to Earth wiser and more evolved, prepared to take on any challenges. True and lasting happiness is a state of consciousness. It does not come and go like the many beliefs about happiness that are just accepted concepts. True and lasting happiness is everyone's birthright by virtue of their being divine consciousness individualized, but as long as a person believes themselves to be separate from God, and all that God is, they block the flow of the self-sustaining, self-maintaining fulfillment aspect of their true self. You are not a little part of God, you are the fullness, but most have not known, or even been interested in knowing this, because the hypnotism of the material world seems so real. True creativity, not something copied from someone else, or what is already known, is a quality of divine consciousness that flows and expands in each successive lifetime. There is no such thing as a child prodigy, only individuals who over lifetimes have attained a high level of expertise in some particular area: music, math, art, medicine/healing, etc., and are simply being their state of consciousness in this life. The spiritual journey can be very difficult in the beginning, because upon awakening to deeper truths most think that this new awareness will bring them everything they have always sought, and it will, but not until it becomes their attained state of consciousness. In a burst of spiritual enthusiasm many will say, "Show me the way, I am ready." But when all the stuff they need to look at, let go of, and move beyond is shown them, they often panic and begin to have second thoughts. The real spiritual journey can only begin when there is a willingness to let go of all previous religious concepts about God, man, and spirituality. Only a consciousness empty and no longer cluttered with beliefs of duality, separation, and two powers is able to accept, nurture, and grow into real truth. This is often a time of struggle for the awakening seeker, because many of their beliefs, particularly religious ones, are deeply rooted in their consciousness. It is important to live from your highest sense of truth at all times, because much that has always been familiar is moving out of alignment with the energies now coming in. This is why some who realize, on a deeper level, that they are not able to attain the levels of energy necessary for alignment with the new energy are choosing to leave, and then when ready come back prepared for the higher resonating energies of the new earth. True happiness is not about having, getting, or appearing to be something the three-dimensional world values. Happiness is the automatic result and experience of the already fully present completeness that exists in, and as every person. We are the Arcturian group. The other videos are in the English video playlist. Help me spread the light, click like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Thank you. Sorcery Off Light.com